Hi, so today is day 46 as I count down to 50. I spent the day with my girlfriend Marquita, who's in town visiting me for the Easter weekend. And as she and I were out laughing and sharing and power shopping, it made me think about support systems and my support system over the years. And so I thought I'd just give you some candid discussion, some honesty about my support and where it comes from. I don't have any family. I know that's kind of hard for people to believe, but I don't. My parents were heroin addicts. My father was killed when I was a baby, and when I was 3. And my mother lived a life of a heroin addict for well over 25 years. I met her when I was 18, but she was really not a part of my life. My grandfather, paternal grandfather, was raising me, and he died when I was 6. His wife, she's the woman that I call Mama. You hear me referring to Mama in my blogs. She was actually my step-grandmother, and she raised me, and she's been deceased now for about 7 years, but she really wasn't a part of my support system. So I don't really have any family in the sense of family. What I have are friends and people who I've met over the years. And I remember when I first went public with my HIV status, I kept this a secret for 7 years. My first 7 years, I told 5 people. Other than the men I dated, I just didn't disclose. And then when I made a transition to AIDS, it was just too much of a secret to keep. And I started to systematically tell. And my friends said, "Oh, I'll be there forever. You ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to deal with this disease alone." And then the popular I got, the more popular I got, and the more my celebrity got, and the more money I brought in, I had friends like coming out of my ears. And then over the years, friendships have dried up. People have dried up. When the money dried up, people dried up. When the celebrity dried up, people dried up. But you know what? AIDS didn't go anywhere. It's still here. And it's almost as if people were saying to me, "Girl, you still got AIDS. Go on with your life." But you cannot go on with your life. This shit ain't going nowhere. Oh, Lord, this piece of hair. Okay. Your life isn't going to change. It is what it is. And what I've learned to do is to meet people where they're at, not where I want them to be. And I've had to understand that just because someone said they were your friend didn't mean that they were a part of your support system. But for me, that was a little difficult to stomach, because how do you let a friend live with a chronic disease such as HIV by themselves? Like, how do you let a year go by or 2 months go by and you don't call them, you don't check on them? I can count on one hand the friends who really got my back. I mean, I have a friend named Keith who's like one of from my political days, who promised to be there. He calls me, he does international work. He calls me more from Africa than people who live in Chicago call, okay? He calls me more from South Africa and Indonesia and places like that than people who live in Chicago, okay? So that's for real. And so over the years, I've learned that people go on with their lives, and it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just that their life is more important than your life. And people rarely make these kind of unconditional sacrifices for you. And you have to adjust. You have to accept them for who they are and what they are. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that what value they can add to your life is very, very little. This is the Easter weekend, and I remember that I used to have these humongous open house on Easter. I would cook up a storm. I would invite 50 people, somewhere between 30 and 50 people, and I would cook. Like, I'd spend 2 days cooking. I love to cook, and I love to feed people. And people would come to my house and they would eat and eat. People would be like, girl, I didn't eat all day because I know that food was going to be good. Sometimes I think about, where are those people on the holidays when I'm by myself? Since I've been friends with Marquita, she has never let me spend a holiday by myself. And so, and then I have Luke, who's always there as much as he can be there, but who calls me every single day. Like, a day doesn't go by. And so, a couple things. I've learned to meet people where they're at, not where I want them to be. I understand they're not a bad person. I've had to weed out the bullshit. I've lost some people over bullshit. Now, those are the people that really are the worst. The people that I lose over bullshit. Because if you're friends, you should be able to work through the bullshit. Meet people where they at, not where you want them to be. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't explain it away. Don't make excuses for them. And you need to decide. I heard T.D. Jakes say once that everybody wasn't meant to be in your life. That God only brings some people in your life for a portion of that journey. And so we have to accept the piece of the journey that the people are on. Maybe everybody ain't meant to be there all the time. And so while living with this disease has been hard over the years, and people have come and gone out of my life, one thing I know for sure, that I am never alone, that God will never let me be alone. It may not be who I want or had wanted or had thought would be in my life, but God always fills the void. God always gives you what you need. If you're living with HIV, you cannot do this by yourself. Find you some people in your life, even if you start just through groups, HIV groups at the clinic. You can't go it alone. That I do know. And so, I'm rambling. You can't do it alone. You got to meet people where they at, not where you want them to be. You got to weed out the bullshit. And so when you disclose your HIV status, you really do find out who your true friends are. And that's it. God has provided me with everything that I've needed. God has not let me be by myself with this disease. Hadn't always been the people that I've expected to be there. I've had some disappointments, but at the end of the day, it's all good because I know that God has got me in the palm of His hands.